So what I'd like to talk about how strategic doing, which is a strategy discipline that I learned about 3 years ago, how it can help us in terms of networking and how it can help and how it relates to the two-loop model under discussion today. You can't have change by individual actions alone. It happens when people connect and work together in networks, leading to emergence, according to the theory here. And this is the transformation of small local efforts into powerful systems. From Mag Wheatley and Deborah Fries from the Berkana Institute, who wrote, networks create the conditions for emergence. Yet much of the current work on networks displays old paradigm bias. So what they were saying and posing some important questions here, it says, why and how do networks form? And what keeps them alive and growing? And what keeps members connected? And how now we are a network, what's next and how can we grow? And I would like to explore how strategic doing can help answer these questions. I remember this report. When I was in graduate school, it was like every graduate student's presentation started with this report. So it was like a strong call to action here. This report came in 2001 with a sense of urgency. How did we get to this state of healthcare and what could we do about it? And they were a real call to action here. And a lot of great work went into this, great analysis and good deal of expert opinions and recommendations. But it was very much like traditional management, and it did not have the intended impact. And what I mean by traditional management, these methods are quite familiar to all of us. It starts with gathering data to define a problem. Next, we analyze the data to identify causes. And then we formulate solutions using existing framework, like something like quality framework or like a value stream mapping. And it's like we have to map everything before we can recommend any solutions. Then we develop an action plan. And this is sometimes a declarative sentence, or it could be like an outline of steps we need to take to implement the solution. Finally, we call people to act. And it's so logical, but the impact can fall short. This works very well in stable system, but now we have more than that. We have a complexity that's beyond us. So what would happen when nothing happens? 17 years later, passed with not much done, still grappling with the urgent issues in healthcare. We end up with another cycle of analysis, leading yet to another report. So here we are, 17 years after 2001, despite the best efforts, traditional management approaches were left with needing more. And this is because healthcare system challenges are the type of complex problems are often referred to as wicked problems, and they're called wicked for a reason. They're very confusing and defy easy definition and cause analysis. You can't just pinpoint a single cause or a straightforward solution. How do we get through the complexity to get to these solutions? So this is where we need to understand that the challenges of healthcare don't sit in the realm of what we call we know how. These are problems where traditional management, advocacy, deciding and delegating come into play. Simple hierarchy would do, not for the healthcare challenges. They sit in the realm of we don't know how. These are challenges that require adaptive management methods, require skillfulness and inquiry and collaborative conversations. They require a design-do approach to working. It takes different mindset. It takes different set of tools and rigor and process. This is where strategic doing shines, enables everyone to get involved in thinking and doing, leveraging the power of network and collaboration. I'd like to speak about the contribution of strategic doing to our understanding of network and how we can work in networks. So Ed Morrison is the founder, was deeply inspired of the open source operating systems and software development. And the story of systems like Linux, and as developed through loosely connected network of engineers from all around the world, was intriguing. And this network model was something he wanted to emulate. So he wanted to know how to transfer the lessons from open source software development to tackle complex challenges in organizations. So the big questions he had is, how do networks move assets from older systems to new opportunities? How can people come together to form and execute complex strategies? We learned something about networks. First, networks are not all the same. They can be, as simple as a group that advocate together. I mean, something like a sport fan group is an advocate network. And then there's a network of learning that, for example, professional organizations that we're a member of. We learn together, we pay our dues and go and get educated and connected. But what we're thinking, innovation happened with something called innovating network. And these networks requires a lot of time to happen and higher trust levels to occur. And developing collaborative network requires building trust among people who may have never worked together, and trust takes time. But with a disciplined process like strategic doing, is by helping people start working and doing the doable, you get there relatively quickly. So the idea to get people or companies who may have never worked together to start working together and build that trust. We want to look here into the right-hand side and see the ultimate goal, the capacity to innovate together. To reach this, we need to build trust. But how does this trust develop? Develop through doing, by collaborating together on projects. So sometimes we confuse terms like cooperation or teamwork or collaboration, each one has a different level of trust as people go through increasing level of trust, collaborative and innovating networks appear. So building trusting relationship is critical to moving toward innovating networks. It's cultivated by step, from knowing each other to sharing information, from sharing resources to aligning together, and finally innovating together. Everyone knows we're familiar with strategic planning. There is a lot of analysis followed by action plan, and hopefully something gets done. Strategic doing, on the other hand, faces the reality of a world without hierarchies, when no one can tell others what they must do. There's a huge risk of failures. Here, once an opportunity is identified, we immediately follow with action. And then we deal with the difficulties or conflict by using cycle of reflection on action, process of aligning and realigning people towards shared outcomes. And here we manage risk of failures and we accelerate learning through the cycles. And so the key here for both, if we're talking about trust and if we're talking about learning and doing, is to jump at doing. An innovating network benefits a lot from doing together and collaborating in work. So strategic doing is a process, is a discipline for people to collaborate in a network. And it has these 2 questions of strategy, 4 questions of doing, and 10 skills of strategic doing. There are 2 core questions in strategy. One is where are we going? And the other is how will we get there? And by answering these 2 questions, we have first an outcome here. By where are we going? We define an outcome. And then we define a path here. The second questions allow us to define a path toward this outcome. And this path will have initiatives, these little boxes here, and with milestones, the little green boxes there, or we call them guideposts along the way towards the outcome. Then the strategic doing divides these into 4 questions. First, the where are we going is addressed by answering what could we do and what should we do. How will we get there is answered by answering what will we do and what's our 30-30, which means what have we learned in the last 30 days and what we will be doing in the next 30 days. And finally, we have these 10 cognitive skills for strategic doing. These are foundational. Just want to tell you, these are foundational to the strategic doing methodology and crucial for achieving the collaborative goals in a network. Strategic doing is not just that people sitting around the table. It's not about us that we're sitting about. It's about how can we actually invite us to focus on our network. Think about it what we could achieve by managing the network and guiding it forward. I invite you for next step is to read the book. It's very easy read, simple book, and explore the website strategicdoing.net. And if you have any question, I'll be happy also to receive it from you. Contact me on this address.